The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly, punctuated by distant starlight and the sleek silhouette of the human exploration vessel Tegu. Captain Jae-sung Park stood motionless on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the approaching alien craft. The ship's interior hummed with a quiet tension that seemed to vibrate through every metal panel and electronic display. Lieutenant Yuna Kim worked her console with practiced precision, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. She knew something was different about this encounter. The Zircon Collective wasn't known for diplomatic meetings, and their reputation for ruthlessness preceded them across multiple star systems. Multiple energy signatures detected, Yuna announced, her voice calm but crisp. The alien vessel is charging weapon systems. Jae-sung nodded, a subtle movement that spoke volumes about his years of space exploration. He had seen countless first contact scenarios, but something about this one felt different. The old mounted weapon on the ship's exterior, a relic that most modern captains would have removed, seemed to pulse with an almost living energy. The Zircon ship was massive, easily 5 times the size of the Tegu. Its metallic skin shimmered with complex energy patterns, suggesting technologies far beyond human understanding. Sophisticated sensor arrays extended from its hull like mechanical tentacles, probing and scanning the human vessel with clinical precision. A sudden burst of communication crackled through the ship's communication systems. The alien language was a series of clicks and harmonic tones that the ship's translators struggled to interpret. When the translation finally came through, it was dripping with contempt. Human vessel. You are trespassing in prohibited space. Prepare for immediate inspection and potential termination. Yuna looked up at Jae-sung, a slight raise of her eyebrow the only indication of her reaction. The captain remained calm, his hands clasped behind his back in a posture of quiet confidence. Standard response protocols, Jae-sung said softly. But keep our defensive systems at minimal power. Let them think we're completely vulnerable. The bridge crew exchanged quick glances. They understood their captain's strategy, even if it seemed counterintuitive. The old weapon mounted on the ship's exterior, a ballistic device that looked more like a museum piece than a functional weapon, remained conspicuously unchanged. Outside, the Zircon vessel began its approach. Its massive form blocked out entire sections of starlight, casting an ominous shadow across the Tegu's hull. Scanning beams probed every millimeter of the human ship, searching for weaknesses, gathering data. Junior technician Miho watched his screens, tracking the alien vessel's movements. His hands were steady, but a thin layer of sweat had formed on his forehead. First contact scenarios were always unpredictable, and the Zircon Collective was notorious for their technological superiority and contempt for less advanced civilizations. They're preparing to establish a direct communication channel, Yuna reported. Quantum encryption is unusual. Not like anything in our databases. Jae-sung remained silent, his gaze still fixed on the viewscreen. The alien ship was now close enough that individual details became clear, complex geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change, energy conduits that pulsed with an almost organic rhythm. The communication channel opened with a burst of static, then resolved into a visual representation of the alien commander. Tall, with multiple segmented limbs and eyes that seemed to reflect light in impossible ways, the creature radiated an aura of absolute superiority. Humans, the alien commander's translated voice rang through the bridge. Your presence here is unauthorized. Your technology is primitive. Prepare for comprehensive evaluation and potential elimination. A series of soft chuckles followed the statement, a sound that was more mechanical than biological, suggesting the aliens were broadcasting their collective amusement. Jae-sung allowed himself the slightest of smiles. The game was about to begin, and the Zircon Collective had no idea what was coming. The alien communication channel remained open, filling the Tegu's bridge with a constant stream of mocking sounds. The Zircon commander's translated words dripped with technological arrogance. Each syllable carried a tone of complete superiority, as if human technology was nothing more than a child's plaything. Your ship configuration is laughable, the alien commander announced. Holographic displays around the bridge flickered with images comparing the Zircon vessel's advanced systems to the seemingly outdated human ship. Miho watched as complex technological diagrams highlighted every supposed weakness of the Tegu. Lieutenant Yuna remained calm, her fingers moving silently across her console. To an untrained eye, she appeared to be doing routine system checks. But her movements were calculated, precise, each touch preparing something the aliens couldn't see. The alien scanning beams continued probing the Tegu's exterior. They paid special attention to the old mounted weapon, a piece of equipment that looked more like a historical artifact than a functional device. Alien technicians broadcast their analysis, their laughter echoing through the communication channels. "Look at this primitive projectile mechanism," one alien technician commented. "It uses chemical propulsion. Such technology is centuries obsolete in our civilization." Another alien voice joined the mockery. "Their weapon appears to be a museum piece. Perhaps they are carrying historical equipment for educational purposes?" More mechanical laughter filled the communication channel. The Zircon crew seemed more entertained than threatened, treating the human vessel like a curious specimen to be examined and ridiculed. Captain Jason Park stood absolutely still. His posture suggested complete calm, but his eyes betrayed a subtle intensity. He was listening, observing, calculating. Every moment of alien mockery was another moment of preparation. Miho noticed something interesting on his secondary monitoring screen. Subtle energy fluctuations were happening around the old mounted weapon, almost imperceptible, but definitely present. He wanted to point this out but remembered the captain's earlier instructions to maintain standard protocols. The alien scanners continued their comprehensive sweep. They mapped every centimeter of the Tegu, creating detailed holographic representations that highlighted what they perceived as technological inadequacies. The human ship's systems were displayed as primitive blocks compared to the complex, fluid structures of Zircon technology. "Their power distribution systems are inefficient," another alien voice announced. "Look how they manage energy transfer, it's like watching a child attempt advanced mathematics." More mechanical laughter erupted. The aliens seemed more interested in displaying their technological superiority than actually preparing for potential conflict. Their overconfidence was palpable, radiating through every communication channel. Yuna caught Jason's eye. A momentary glance passed between them, a silent communication that suggested something was about to change. The captain's slight nod was almost imperceptible. The alien commander continued his technological dissection of the human vessel. Complex holographic displays showed comparative analyses, with human technology represented in dull, gray blocks and Zircon systems illustrated in vibrant, dynamic colors. "Prepare for comprehensive evaluation," the alien commander repeated. "Your vessel will be thoroughly examined. Resistance is mathematically improbable." Miho noticed the energy fluctuations around the mounted weapon were increasing. Something was building, something the alien scanners seemed unable to detect. The weapon's old metal surface seemed to pulse with a subtle, almost breathing rhythm. Jason's hand moved slightly, positioning itself near a specific control panel. Yuna's fingers hovered over her console, ready. The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but a sense of anticipation filled the air. The alien mockery continued, unaware that each moment of ridicule was bringing them closer to a remarkable surprise. Their technological arrogance had blinded them to the possibility that humans might have capabilities beyond their comprehensive understanding. And then, in that moment of peak alien confidence, everything was about to change. The bridge of the Tegu fell into a moment of absolute silence. Captain Jason Park's voice cut through the tension with a single, calm command. "Fire!" The old mounted weapon erupted with a sound that seemed to defy the silent vacuum of space. A single projectile launched, moving with a speed and precision that contradicted its ancient design. The weapon looked like something from a museum, a relic of human military history that most modern spacecraft would have discarded decades ago. The Zircon commander's laughter died instantly. The projectile moved differently from anything the aliens had ever encountered. It wasn't just a simple piece of metal moving through space. This was a carefully engineered piece of human innovation, the result of centuries of metallurgical research, ballistic engineering, and a deep understanding of material science that the aliens had completely overlooked. Miho watched his monitoring screens with wide eyes. The projectile's trajectory was perfect, impossibly perfect. It moved with a kind of surgical precision that defied the basic principles of space combat as the Zircon understood them. On the alien vessel, warning systems began to scream. Quantum shield indicators flickered from confident green to alarmed red. Technicians scrambled, their previous arrogance replaced by a sudden, terrifying confusion. "Impossible," the alien commander screamed, his multiple limbs moving frantically across control interfaces. The projectile approached the Zircon ship's hull. Their most advanced quantum shields, technology they believed was absolutely impenetrable, began to show signs of stress. Microscopic fractures appeared, spreading like spider webs across the energy barrier. Lieutenant Yuna's fingers moved across her console, tracking every millisecond of the weapon's trajectory. She had been part of the team that developed this special ammunition, understanding its unique capabilities in ways the aliens could never comprehend. The projectile struck. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a violence that defied mathematical prediction, the quantum shield shattered. The special metallurgical composition of the projectile found and exploited a fundamental weakness in the alien defensive technology. Explosions blossomed across the Zircon vessel's hull. Each impact was precise, targeting critical systems with an accuracy that suggested more than simple luck. This was calculated destruction, human engineering at its most sublime and terrifying. Alarms screamed across the alien ship's communication channels. The previous mockery dissolved into panic. Technicians and commanders alike watched in horror as their supposedly invincible vessel began to come apart. "How?" the alien commander repeated, his translated voice filled with disbelief. "How is this possible?" Captain Jason remained calm. "Sometimes," he said softly to his crew, "the oldest tools have the sharpest edges." The Tegu's bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but a sense of vindication filled the air. Years of research, decades of technological development, had led to this moment. The Zircon vessel continued to break apart. Complex technological systems, the pride of their civilization, proved helpless against the surprisingly simple human weapon. Each explosion revealed layers of vulnerability that the aliens had never anticipated. Miho could hardly believe what he was seeing. The old mounted weapon, something that would have been considered obsolete on most modern ships, had just done the impossible. It had defeated a technologically superior alien vessel with a single, perfectly engineered shot. The communication channel remained open, now filled with the sounds of alien panic and system failures. The Zircon Collective's technological superiority was being dismantled, piece by piece, by a weapon that looked like it belonged in a historical museum. Lieutenant Yuna caught the captain's eye. A moment of shared understanding passed between them. This was more than just a battle, this was a statement about human ingenuity, about the power of innovation and careful engineering. As the alien vessel continued to break apart, one thing became absolutely clear: the universe had just learned a valuable lesson about underestimating humanity. The Zircon vessel began to disintegrate in ways that defied their most advanced scientific understanding. Each section of the massive ship erupted with explosions that seemed to originate from within its most protected internal systems. The human projectile had done more than simply pierce their defenses, it had introduced a fundamental breakdown of their technological infrastructure. Alien technicians ran through corridors filled with failing systems. Protective energy fields flickered and died, emergency containment protocols collapsed, and communication networks fragmented into chaos. What had seemed impossible moments ago was now their terrifying reality. The alien commander's voice broke through the communication channel, no longer filled with mockery but pure terror. "Impossible," he screamed repeatedly, his multiple limbs desperately manipulating complex control interfaces that were rapidly becoming useless. On the Tegu's bridge, Captain Jason Park watched with calculated precision. His team had spent years developing this specific ammunition, a project so secret that even most military researchers were unaware of its existence. The projectile wasn't just a weapon, it was a carefully engineered piece of technological art. Lieutenant Yuna monitored the alien vessel's systematic collapse. Each system failure was precise, almost surgical. The projectile had introduced a form of technological virus that was dismantling the Zircon ship from its most critical internal networks outward. Miho, the junior technician, couldn't believe what he was witnessing. the old mounted weapon. Something that looked like it belonged in a maritime museum was defeating an alien vessel with technological capabilities centuries beyond human understanding. The projectile's unique metallurgical composition contained microscopic engineering marvels. Developed through decades of research, it carried specialized nanites that could break down quantum shield technologies at their most fundamental level. Each nanite was programmed to identify and exploit specific molecular weaknesses in alien defensive systems. Sections of the Zircon vessel began to separate, critical systems failing in cascading sequences. The ship that had moments ago radiated technological superiority was now nothing more than a rapidly fragmenting collection of metal and failing energy networks. The alien commander's final transmissions became increasingly fragmented. Panic replaced his previous arrogance. How, he repeated, the translation systems struggling to convey his complete disbelief. How can primitive humans? His transmission cut off mid-sentence. Aboard the Tegu, the crew maintained professional composure. But beneath their calm exterior, a sense of vindication burned bright. This was more than a simple space battle, this was a statement about human innovation, about the power of careful engineering and unexpected solutions. Captain Jason allowed himself a slight smile. Years of research, countless failed experiments, and persistent belief in human potential had led to this moment. The old weapon, which most modern military strategists would have discarded, had just proven its incredible value. Lieutenant Yuna's fingers continued to track the alien vessel's destruction. Each explosion, each system failure was being carefully documented. This would become a case study in technological adaptation, a moment that would reshape humanity's understanding of space combat. The Zircon vessel continued to break apart. Complex technological systems that had taken generations to develop were now failing against a surprisingly simple human solution. Each explosion revealed layers of vulnerability that the aliens had never anticipated. Miho watched his monitoring screens in awe. The old mounted weapon had accomplished what entire human fleets might have struggled to achieve. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a testament to human ingenuity, to the ability to find innovative solutions when conventional wisdom suggested failure. As the last sections of the alien vessel drifted apart, a profound silence settled over the Tegu's bridge. They had just changed the fundamental understanding of technological warfare. The universe would never look at human capabilities the same way again. The unexpected shot had done more than just destroy an alien vessel. It had sent a message that would echo across multiple star systems: never underestimate human potential. The remaining Zircon vessels began to retreat, their previously confident formations now scattered and chaotic. What had started as a routine encounter had transformed into a nightmare that would redefine their understanding of human technological capabilities. Communication channels across multiple alien networks buzzed with the shocking report. The Tegu, a seemingly insignificant human vessel, had completely destroyed one of their most advanced warships using a weapon that looked centuries obsolete. Panic and disbelief spread faster than information. Captain Jason Park watched the retreating alien fleet with calm precision. His hands remained clasped behind his back, a posture of quiet confidence that belied the monumental victory they had just achieved. Lieutenant Yuna continued monitoring the communication channels, tracking the aliens' retreat. Incoming transmission, Miho announced, his voice slightly trembling with excitement. The alien communication appeared not a declaration of war, but something entirely unexpected. A formal communication of respect. The translation systems worked overtime to convey the complex emotional undertones of the alien message. The Zircon Collective was requesting a diplomatic dialogue. Their previous mockery had been completely replaced by a profound sense of shock and a desperate desire to understand. How could a species they had considered technologically primitive produce such an advanced piece of engineering? The weapon defied everything in their scientific understanding. Alien research teams were already analyzing the remnants of the destroyed vessel. Each fragment, each technological trace became a puzzle they were desperate to solve. The human projectile had introduced concepts of engineering that challenged their entire technological framework. They want to understand, Yuna said, translating the complex communication. Not just the weapon, but the thinking behind its development. Jae-sung nodded. This was more than a military victory. This was a moment of potential interstellar communication, a chance to demonstrate human innovative potential on a galactic scale. The junior technicians on the bridge exchanged excited glances. They had just witnessed something historic, a moment that would be studied in military academies and scientific institutions across human space for generations. Niho's monitoring screens continued tracking the alien fleet. Their retreat was systematic, but carried an undertone of profound respect. The Zircon Collective was regrouping, but not to plan revenge. They were reassessing their entire understanding of human capabilities. More transmissions followed. Requests for technical exchanges, diplomatic meetings, opportunities to understand the technological principles behind the weapon. The aliens were no longer seeing humans as a primitive species to be conquered, but as a potential technological partner. Lieutenant Yuna began preparing preliminary diplomatic response protocols. This wasn't just a military encounter anymore, this was a potential turning point in human-alien relations. The old mounted weapon, which moments ago had been nothing more than a museum piece, was now the most studied piece of technology in multiple alien research networks. Scientists and military strategists across the Zircon Collective were analyzing every possible angle, trying to understand its remarkable capabilities. Captain Jae-sung reflected on the years of research that had led to this moment. Countless scientists, engineers, and researchers had contributed to developing this technology. Their persistent belief in human potential had created something truly extraordinary. The Tegu's crew maintained their professional composure, but a sense of pride filled the bridge. They had just changed the fundamental understanding of human technological capabilities. The universe would never look at humanity the same way again. As the alien fleet continued its systematic retreat, one thing became absolutely clear: humanity had just announced its presence on the galactic stage in the most unexpected way possible. The unexpected shot had done more than destroy an alien vessel. It had opened a door to a future where human innovation would be recognized, respected, and celebrated across multiple star systems. Sometimes, the oldest tools truly do have the sharpest edges.